Morning folks, you join me mid-July. We're in the midst of a heat wave here in the UK, and I'm on my way to meet up with Peter Chiswell, who you'll have seen on previous videos, at customary McDonald's for a bit of breakfast, and then we're embarking on a 4-day tour taken from Simon Weir's Bikers Britain book, which he entitles Grin Up North. Not Grim Up North, but Grin Up North. 4 days, and along the way I will be also picking up, telling you where I am with a warranty corrosion claim I put in to BMW when I had a major service done back in February. Yes, and it's now July. I'll be giving you thoughts where I'm at with the latest situation regarding stick or twist. I also did a video where I test rode the 1300 GSA not long after it came out. I was very impressed with the bike, but I couldn't justify the expenditure to change. So if that interests you, stick around, stay tuned, and we'll catch you on the ride. So it is now 10:49, met up with Cheers, 25 degrees, and leaving Grantham. I'll insert the individual days into the video here. Day 1, we are on our way to Whitby, through Lincolnshire, up to Whitby on the coast. Day 2, we head across the country to Penrith in the Lake District, through North Yorkshire or Yorkshire moors. Day 3, we do a trip around the Lake District, picking up numerous passes, which should be entertaining, and end up in Hawes, which is Hawes in Yorkshire. And the final day we pick up from Hawes and go down to Nottingham, where Chiz and I are meeting up with some old work colleagues. The rides themselves, as they come from Simon Weir's Bikers Britain book, which is very good. We've used him before, we used his routes before, they've been excellent. And you can download the rides, each individual day's ride for a couple of quid, and it downloads in a format that you can then export into Calimoto. So you'll see down below there I've exported it into Calimoto, shared it with Cheers, and albeit probably Cheers should have paid the 2 quid. I'm sorry, Simon. The amount of riding time is actually 4 hours 45 minutes via Calimoto, with breaks and what have you. It's probably going to get into our hotel, I'm guessing around 6 o'clock, if we're lucky actually. After doing about an hour maybe through the Lincolnshire countryside, and the little town of Sleaford, quite busy. In front of us is a very old Ford Classic, super little car, worth a few quid, in good nick. It's a Ford Classic, and I think it was a Ford Corsair, if I remember rightly, in that sort of range, at the same time as the Cortinas and all that jazz. So we're at 25 degrees, it's tolerable. Certainly better than the 30 degrees it has been. Took the opportunity before coming on this trip to change my screen and went back to the original screen. I currently use a Z Technic larger screen because I'm not a big fan of the buffeting you get. However, it's been an absolute revelation putting the other screen back on to get some airflow through, and I've forgotten how much the Z Technic actually blocks out that airflow, but in this weather it's an absolute delight, so I think I'm going to stick with this for a while. And we're in Lincoln, so the journey's taken us from Sleaford through to Lincoln. I think that's Lincoln Cathedral, if I'm not mistaken. Wow, so the title of Grid Up North from Mr. Simon Weir has been absolutely spot on. I have to say the first part of the route was somewhat disappointing, very nadgery and lots of traffic in and out little villages. And then post Lincoln, sort of Sleaford Lincoln, it opened up, and boy oh boy, wow, the roads on this ride have been a bit special. Traffic had freed up, and miles of grins. Very, very true, very true. The one thing I'd say, watch out for farm traffic. Coffee stops are few and far between, so we've had a very average sandwich and drink, little break. Now about to go over Humber Bridge, we believe. Headed to a place called Pickering, and from Pickering take the road into Whitby, which according to Mr. Chiswell was where Dracula came in on the boat. News to me. Know any of that? See you there. Oh, I can feel the wind and the woo. Nice little coffee stop. £1.30 each for a cup of tea. Well, actually, it was a mug of tea. Right, we're on our way now to, I think, through Pickering up to Whitby. My estimate of 6 o'clock is not going to be right. It's probably going to be around 20 past 6, I'm guessing. But do you know what? Hey ho, it is what it is. 26 degrees. Started, it got up to about 28, 30, which was quite hot. It's back to 26 now, which is more tolerable. Click the camera on and just give you a view of the local scenery. 20 past 5. A little bit of a breeze. Sweepy roads. Very comfortable. Now's a good time to talk about my corrosion issue. So back in February, when I took the bike in for service, and it was a main valve service that was being done, there was a little bit of corrosion around the engine joints on the left hand side. Now, as anybody that knows anything about GSA 1250s, that is not uncommon, it's a common fault. And Dean had the problem when he bought his bike initially from Brighton, which is where I bought mine from. I've had this bike, 1500 miles in, It's now done what, nearly 13,000. And Brighton wouldn't sell him his bike because they discovered the corrosion, and BMW agreed to replace the engine free of charge. So with that in mind, and also looking on the forums and seeing different things that had happened, it had ranged from BMW saying the individuals had not taken care of their bikes well enough, so refusing any responsibility, to those that they said, yeah, it was a genuine claim. I made my claim within the warranty period. The warranty period ran out about the 5th of March 2025, and I put the claim in via the dealership on 27th of February. And I heard absolutely nothing for ages. Kept chasing the dealership. Dealership said, happens a lot, there's a long list, and there's a long wait, and etc, etc, etc. I thought, no, I'm not having this, so pushed it with BMW customer services. I got a range of replies back, none of them satisfactory, or one saying they didn't recognise me as being the owner, could I send the registration document, all sorts of nonsense. So we understand your frustration. Eventually it got to the point where the dealership I understood the dealership had already taken photos of the bike and sent them in. I was asked to send more photos in. Again, deathly silence, nothing. Anyway, to cut a long story short, I escalated the whole thing by copying in a guy called Marcus Flash, who's the CEO of BMW Motorrad, and also the head of customer services, Ben, I can't remember his second name. Needless to say, I didn't get any reply from them. But I was copying in all the replies that I'd had previously, and if you catalogued it, you would realise how ridiculous it was that I was just being fobbed off, basically. And I just said it was totally unacceptable. Now eventually what transpired was, I don't know if that made a difference, but I just would not let it go. Once a week I would be firing an email off saying, what's the latest state of play? And eventually I got a guy who was a senior customer services representative, and he seemed to be a bit more sensible in terms of his reply. And eventually I got a call from the dealership saying, good news, great news, BMW have agreed to pay for the parts to fix the problem, which should be at the cost of £4,500, which was engine casings. And the labour cost, they want me to pay 50% of the labour, which is about £1,000. So the total labour bill's £2,000, roughly. And I immediately thought, well, that's a result. But one thing they did say was that this was a goodwill gesture. And I said I need 24 hours to think about it, which I did. 24 hours went by. And I thought, no, this isn't a goodwill gesture. This is basically a warranty claim based upon a faulty engine casing that they've now admitted responsibility for. So again, I went back and said, unsatisfactory, you've admitted there is a problem, it was reported within the warranty period, etc, etc, etc. Again, I was asked to take the bike in and have more photographs taken. My dealership is Sidney's of Wolverhampton, and when I did that, I actually happened to have the guy that does all the warranty repairs on the motorcycles, and he said, yeah, there are numerous claims going on. He said, but what BMW are looking for is to see if you have or haven't used corrosive cleaning materials. So they are looking for specific evidence where you have used corrosive materials, snow foam being, he thinks, being one. And where that becomes evidence, is on ends of cables where there are the ferrules. You'll see some furring, and other places that he didn't actually mention. He took photographs of the whole bike, and his conclusion was he didn't understand why there would be an issue, why they wouldn't agree to the claim. Photos went in. Within 72 hours I got a call from the dealership to say, yep, BMW have agreed to fund the parts and the labour, and they have now ordered the parts and awaiting delivery. That was 2.5 weeks ago. They estimated it would be 2 weeks. Clearly that hasn't happened, but to be fair, I'm using the bike anyway. I suppose the lesson is if you're in this position, I would wholeheartedly recommend that you keep persevering and copy in whoever you need to copy in to try and get your case listened to, because the more emails you send, the more responses you'll get back that will be unsatisfactory. And my final threat was, this is going to make a ridiculous social media episode that will embarrass BMW beyond belief. And I can only assume that that was the point, that when they did, because I was always including the attachments of all the replies I'd had, that for me was, I think, the killer, that it would be a massive embarrassment for them. So there you go, sorted hopefully. The guy who took the photos said he's done a few now engine casing changes, and he believes that the finish on the new engine casings is slightly different in terms of the paint overlaps the joints or wraps over the joint itself. He thinks that the finish was not done correctly at manufacture or parts supply, so any water would ingress in any sort of slight imperfection and start bubbling from underneath. Interestingly enough, the bubbling was not a lot when I first noticed it. It has actually got more, and you speak to anybody, there's not many around that haven't got this corrosion, and largely my guess is that they've had the engine casings or engines changed. Now the guy also said he'd spotted a bit on the drive shaft casing. I can't find it, but he's taken a picture of that, submitted that, so I don't know if that's come back as part of the claim. I'll find out when it goes in for repair. So in summary, the result, as I say, lessons learned. Anybody else that's having that problem, and it sounds like there are a lot of people that are, my guess is a lot of people would have given up. Messages, don't give up, keep going until you get a final conclusion that says no or yes, and no, they're going to have to give you a reason why. So there you have it. We are 18 miles away. My estimate was wrong, wasn't it? We're going to have another fuel stop top up for tomorrow, and a little final leg stretch before we get into Whitby. Look at that scenery, look at the light on that, isn't that beautiful? Temperature's dropped to a lovely 22 degrees now. It really is perfect. As I've said before, God's own country. Features well in front. He's had his bike 3 or 4 months. Paid for his panniers and his top box. He's got his panniers. He's had his panniers for a while now. His top box is apparently in. But the backrest isn't in, so he's going on a trip to Europe the next 10 days. He says if the backrest doesn't come in, he'll basically use the top box and then take it back in to have the backrest fitted. I think he's going on a 19-day European tour. Bit windy woo. Ah, speed camera. Interesting. They'll be nabbing a few down here, won't they? Undoubtedly. Wow, look at that. Look at that. Stunning scenery. Borough of Scarborough. Three miles to go, 6 minutes to Whitby. Banding in the road there, not ideal. So I think we're in the Royal Hotel on the front in Whitby. I have to admit my expectations are not very high. It's one of those classic old hotels, but you never know. I think we've paid £110 each for a room, including breakfast. Bike should be safe, places to park. I've seen another case of bike theft that's been thwarted because they were trying to steal a bike the same as Chiz's ASA. They got the locks off, jemmied the locks and cut through with an angle grinder. They actually cut the spokes in the wheel, front wheel, but then they hadn't realised that it was an ASA bike, which meant that no clutch, they couldn't wheel it away. So it does look to be true. I'm sure somebody will sort it out one day, but it definitely seems to be a security angle to having an ASA bike or a DCT bike, which led us to think, what happens if all your electrics go and you break down? What happens there? How do they recover your bike? Interesting.
Somebody who doesn't know how to drive a motorhome.
I was just about to say that's a bit of a challenging place to go with a motorhome, isn't it?
Enjoy your bike ride.
Yeah, thank you. Oh yeah, what is he?
Aerosol.
Oh wow, fantastic bird.
Comes to work with me every day.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Wow. Cheers.